Pushing up against a completely maximal workout is always something that can be very jarring, especially when you're kind of flirting with the edge of that for so long. And today wasn't any exception to that. I had an opportunity to work out earlier in the morning. I felt good today, so I decided I was going to knock it out. Started working out about 10:30 or so this morning. It took a lot out of me. Maybe I should have waited until later. I don't know, but I know that these weights were very heavy. 280 is close to where I thought it was going to feel. I know that I've been musing that 285 is probably my maximum for a 5x5 squat, and I still think that that's correct. I might be able to squeak out 290 if I use a belt or maybe some knee sleeves to kind of help increase the spring going up. I don't know if I necessarily want to do that, but it's certainly a possibility just to be able to finish this. And I think I'm probably going to stand to benefit from hovering around 270 for some time after this. Maybe lowering the weight down, going up to 270, and then just parking there for quite some time until I feel extremely comfortable with it. One thing that I noticed going through my squats, and I did have to increase my rest time from 2 minutes to 3 minutes between my second and third and fourth sets and the fifth, ultimately. But one thing I noticed is that I was getting a ton of work in my core, as I have in the past 2 or 3 workouts doing these, but I could feel my technique becoming compromised as I'm coming up, and I think it's right about that portion of my squat right there where I'm losing control in my hips and my back and my legs a little bit, and so my back is taking over because I can muscle that weight up. I was doing it, and it's not necessarily the most ideal thing to do. So while I completed these sets, it's a matter of to what degree, and to not say, I may not have had the most ideal workout, but it's still beneficial to be able to see what happens to me technique-wise and physically when I hit that wall. And one thing that I was really kind of concerned about too is making sure I was hitting depth, just because at times I felt like I was cheating reps. And the first rep of this fourth set, I know that I cheated just a little bit. I was just at parallel rather than shooting for just a little bit below as I normally do, just trying to add strength to the the glute ham complex. And it just takes a lot out of me to do this. So this was a very good bellwether session to say that at least my estimations for what I'm physically capable of right now are pretty much on the mark. So that's good. That means I kind of know how my body feels and where things are going. But sometimes that also can be kind of hindering because you have this expectation that you're only going to hit so much. And once you start getting in that ballpark, and around that area, then you already have this preconceived notion that you can't do more than this. And so part of me was really kind of forcing to go through this. This last rep right here was a hell of a grind. Yeah, and a bit of a yell there just to get it finished. That final push, just going through and getting it done. Switching over to bench, honestly fairly doable. The only downside to this is that I was doing 2 minutes of rest for the first 2 or 3 sets, and I switched over to 3 minutes for the between the third and fourth and fifth set, just because I could feel that I was getting a little tired. And the first set moved very well, kind of reminiscent of how things went with my overhead press, where the first set was just incredibly solid, and I didn't have much difficulty getting through it. The second set, while I did complete all of these, the second set was a little more difficult. There was a bit of a grind getting that last rep, but it wasn't anything that was kind of not doable, not dissimilar to the overhead press. Granted, I didn't finish any of those sets outside of the first one, doing them strictly. So let's see. And I'm still using the wrist wrap on my right wrist. My wrist is probably like 95% healed, but I still don't want to chance it right now. Yeah, so a little bit of grind right there in the fifth rep, but still doable. Nothing too crazy. Third set, kind of much of the same. Took some more time and just kind of focused on I had to be able to rep this out. Again, this is the heaviest I've ever repped on a bench press. I've been unsure of what the exact number was. I went back and reviewed all of my training logs, and 175 is my maximum. And this is something that I was able to accomplish while doing a lot of bench and then supplemental exercises like weighted pull-ups and weighted dips. And I was thinking about that after this workout, kind of after I finished doing these, moved on to the Romanian deadlifts, about if I might find some benefit in doing weighted dips and weighted pull-ups just to help work on my triceps and my upper back. And I think it would really help. I just unfortunately don't have anywhere to realistically do those. And I would either need to buy or build a dip station. And that's not necessarily out of the question. It's just a lack of space right now to be able to accomplish that. Final rep right here in this fourth set was definitely a grind, but I got it up just fine. Coming in after this set, I was fairly tired, so I got my dad to come down and spot me just to make sure I didn't get stuck with it. And he puts his hands under the bar and just kind of touches on the last rep, but didn't really take any of the weight off. But it was definitely a grind for me to get through it, and definitely finish it. So I'm proud that I got through all 5 sets. 180 might be doable. It's going to be a little difficult to get through, but I definitely think that I can accomplish it. So it's something that it's going to be an endeavor to kind of get through that. So I'm definitely going to give it a shot. The Romanian deadlifts, I think I'm going too heavy on these, honestly. I was able to get through them, but I do not feel like my technique was the best. And on top of that, my lower back was sore from doing the squats, just because I think that I'm maxing out those squats and my technique's being compromised. So I'm, again, relying on my lower back to get through that. That's practically a good morning getting that weight up for that deadlift. I did get a bunch of hamstring work on this, but I didn't review any of these afterwards doing it, so I'm kind of curious how my lower back looks. It's still flat in this first set, but man, it just felt like it might have been too much. So I might have to stall these out or lower the weight. Man, sorry, I'm yawning. I know 260 was fairly doable. 250 was very doable, so I might just kind of hover around 255, 260. And just kind of stay at that weight and really kind of nail this movement down. I don't feel at all uncomfortable in it, but it's just a matter of what is the benefit I'm getting out of it if I'm somewhat struggling to do these reps and do them properly. So I think it is benefiting me. I do feel my hamstrings loosening up and, slowly getting a little bit longer, kind of aid against that tightening that they've been doing lately, which is probably part of the reason why I've been having difficulty getting lower and staying up lower in my deadlifts. Just because I can't get that proper stretch in my hamstrings when I'm setting up. So I don't know. Something I really got to think on and play with. I do think it's probably best to lower the weights, though. At least so far, these are fairly okay reps. My back isn't rounding. It's all on the hips. And maybe getting a little bit of body English coming up from the rep. So I'm losing a little bit of the effectiveness there. So just stuff to look out for and keep in mind. This is just a trial and error process, and sometimes when you get to the days with maximal load at the very end of a session or of a cycle, you hit this point to where things just kind of break down because you're hitting these heavy weights that you really haven't done before or potentially in an extremely long time. And here I am trying to hit a heavy Romanian deadlift after doing it for 2 weeks. You can see in my face I'm starting to really feel that. So it's really got me kind of thinking about the effectiveness of what I'm doing. This last set I really had to kind of prepare myself for just because I felt so tired. At this point I was like an hour and 15 minutes into this workout, and I usually last about an hour to an hour in like 2 or 3 minutes. So this was fairly longer than what I'm used to doing. And it was definitely wearing me out having to go through and do all this. The deadlift portion, at least getting the weight up, looks fairly nice. So there's that. It's a little better. I could probably still get my hips just a little bit lower, but any bit of progress is progress right now to get through this. So this last set honestly looks better than I thought it would. I think it's just my perception of how things are going because I'm so tired going through this. Outside of that, just going to have to really kind of think on this and think about how I want to approach everything on Thursday.